There are a lot of companies right now who are going for a 20% headcount. And that's a business model. They believe that they can whack 80% of their team and possibly double output. We have a very different philosophy, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. Um, what are some of the, you're talking to people every day, you're talking to people on horseback rides. I know you just did a big thing for 7 days out in the San Ynez Valley a while back. What's the pulse? Where do you feel like people are in this AI world, in this AI dance?
Well, it's most people are confused by it, a little bit worried, right? When you look at the media, television, print, what have you, it's not great news. AI, if you look at the Gallup polls or CNN or Wall Street Journal on an approval or a popularity, it's less popular than Congress is today. That's
Hard.
saying a lot,
That's hard.
right? Congress is at like 23% approval rating, and AI is at like 20%. And so people are, a lot of the guys that I was talking to, because they're relatively well off and okay in their lives, they're like, AI is a thing for tomorrow. It's not a thing for today. And I think what William and I are talking about is it's a thing for today. It's a thing to, even if you start small, even if you start with the free version of OpenAI or Anthropic's Claude, it's a thing to just become conversant in it. And over time, you may choose to use it a little more deeply. William and I have been using it for a couple of years. So for us to go deeper with it, when OpenClaw came out and build our own agents and start to build apps and do something, we were already kind of ready for it because we'd been using it at least on a small level, well, large level for what it offered, but small compared to what it is today. And it's crazy the amount of improvement and enhanced capabilities that are happening pretty much every 2 to 3 weeks. It's just jumping on it over itself.
The speed. Peter Diamandis, who's head of the Moonshots group, said, the problem with an exponential is that nothing seems to be changing, nothing seems to be changing, nothing seems to be changing, and then everything changes. And as you're talking, Mike, I was thinking back in the day when people had car phones. And these were like the convertible Mercedes, and they, big antenna out the back, and wow, that's crazy. Well, who here doesn't have a cell phone?
Right.
And this is what's going to happen with AI. And there's a jagged edge in technology. We talk about this. In Dubai right now today, there's an electric Uber taxi. So you get on the top of your hotel, you go boop boop boop, a drone lands, takes you to the airport. 2028 in Los Angeles at the Olympics, we will have flying drone taxis. If you live in Austin and you're watching the show, you can get a driverless Tesla to come pick you up. So Mike and I, we have fleets of agents that are, and we'll talk a little bit more about what an agent actually is, the difference between an agent and an LLM. So I've got teams of amazingly brilliant digital employees working for me all the time. And most people, I think it's less than 10% of the US population has a $20 subscription.
I think it's less than 5%.
So understand the gap and understand the disparity. And I honestly.
But let's stop there for a second. Like, what's the difference between a free, like why should I pay $20 a month?
That's a great question. And we talked a little bit about it in last week's episode. The companies, which are in business to drive revenue, if you have the free tool, they're holding back intelligence. My friend's got a daughter who's attending a great academic program back east, and she was using the free version of ChatGPT, and she's like, I just didn't like it wasn't really serving me. She was in kind of a technical position and it wasn't giving her the answers that she needed. Well, upgrade. Just with that $20 a month subscription, you get a much better brain. So, the question is,
and by much better, I think it's not an exaggeration to say you're getting at least 500% better compute and ability out of that agent.
It's the difference between you got a high school kid who's coming to your office and, hey, let me help out, and if they write an email for you, you're gonna have to rewrite the email 5 times. If they file something for you, you're not gonna be able to find it in the filing cabinet. Versus having, you know, a Wharton MBA, or, you know, an engineer from MIT working for you. So that $20 a month, and, you know, we talked about it.